Comrades, imagine yourself as a recent North Korean college grad. You feel grateful about being born into this self-declared workers' paradise, where the loudspeakers play patriotic music and motivate you for the morning duties, and portraits of leaders watch you working from the wall. The question is how to plan your career. What kind of a job are you going to take to keep your family fed? Or, as a dirty secret from the deepest bottom of your heart, which route can lead you to freedom, escaping the Kimdom and never coming back? So, welcome to the ultimate North Korean career guide. Doctor, worker, astronaut, or you name it. Maybe you can be a coal miner who pulls lignite out of a Soviet-era shaft, or a cooperative farmer who hand plants the state-owned rice paddies in the years of famine. Or, if the sweetest dream comes true, you can be a party leader who produces nothing but vague inspection reports, drinks imported Hennessy, and occasionally scolds your inferiors. In the Kimdom, your job is not a career choice. It is your assigned identity, your monthly ration, your access to information, and even your marriage prospects. The closer you sit to power, the better parts of the workers' paradise you actually get to experience. The very efficient Songbun caste system quietly determines which schools you can attend, which cities you live in, and which factory you will report to on the morning after graduation. But comrades, let's have a thought experiment. Imagine, just for one episode, that the system has been malfunctioning. The ledger has lost your family history file. The bureaucrat at the desk slides a fresh form across the table and tells you to choose a career. 2 preferences and a backup. What kinds of jobs would you choose? Diplomat, because you would at least see the world. Rocket scientist, because you want to blow up the capitalist fake Korea down the south. Maybe a traffic police officer, because you love their sky blue uniform. Each choice carries consequences you do not yet understand. Some careers feed you, some watch you. Some put you on a Russian construction site for 14 hours a day for $10 a month. You might accidentally become the regime's most preferred scapegoat. Otherwise, you might get a chance and embrace that illusory freedom. Today, we will go through 8 different jobs of the Kimdom and make them a tier list. We will look at qualifications, perks, and hidden costs. Then, hopefully, you can follow this guide and successfully put milk and bread on the dinner table. Before we begin, time for a small ritual. To our patrons and channel members, thank you. You are the reason this channel can peel back the layers of the hermit Kimdom and consistently produce these long episodes. You made all of this possible. Again, thank you so much. Now, buckle up, let's dig in.
The posters have been up in Pyongyang for weeks, heralding a meeting of North Korea's ruling political party. And now there's finally a date for this key gathering. The announcement was made on the KRT Evening News.
조선노동당 최고 지도기관 선거를 위한 조선노동당 대표자회는
The Conference of the Workers' Party of Korea for electing its supreme leadership body will take place in Pyongyang on September the 28th.
평양에서 열리게 된다.
So, what is the most privileged job in North Korea? Sadly, it's not Supreme Leader, which is technically not a career you can choose, but a forever unavailable position exclusively reserved for the Paektu bloodline. The real dream job is simple: party official. The Holy Workers' Party office cubicle is what every ambitious citizen craves in their school days. Party officials sit at the top of the ordinary food chain because everything else in North Korea is calibrated against them. You are not merely a government employee, but a part of the machine, a higher priest of the Juche idea. In a normal country, a civil servant processes paperwork, but in the Kimdom, you can construe reality. Think about it. As a party official, your very loyal family would be generously allowed to live in Pyongyang, where 99% of residents are members, candidate members, or dependents of members of the Workers' Party of Korea, according to the city's demographic reports. Here, you are not another regular resident. You are a larger fish in the aquarium, not the shark though, because the real sharks are those who have their portraits in every state building. You have an office, a phone line upward, a nice car, and an assigned chauffeur if you are important enough. But the real benefit is a bit more abstract. It's the access to the privileged world. There are specialized import stores, like the Potonggang department store, where the price tags are in US dollars, and where cadres like you can buy Japanese liquor and exotic fruits from Southeast Asia. In recent years, under our respected Supreme Leader's massive housing campaign, 50,000 new apartments were built over a 5-year plan, with the most celebrated being the Hwasong district, coming with brand new gaming cafes and pet stores. The friendly father may assign you to one of these condos. A party official's day is a beautiful symphony of paperwork, meetings, inspections, ideological study, signature rituals, and controlled panic. In the morning, you may attend a meeting to discuss the implementation of a supreme directive. Then you attend another meeting to discuss the spirit of the first meeting. Then you prepare a report explaining how the local factory has exceeded production targets despite lacking electricity, raw materials, spare parts, transport capacity, and occasionally workers. You occasionally inspect farms, schools, construction sites, or minor inspectors who inspect minor subjects. Just consider them like paid sightseeing field trips. It's fun, right? Just standing in front of something and declaring it another triumph of socialist civilization. Although your job duty is physically and intellectually unchallenging, the entrance bar for being a party official is unfathomably high. It's not about submitting a resume and claiming you are passionate about socialist administration. No, the actual preparation must start before your birth. Your ancestors must have made the correct decisions during the Japanese occupation, the Korean War, the post-war purges, the ideological campaigns, the agricultural disasters, the famine, the market crackdowns, and every other historical event in which the safest strategy was to enthusiastically agree with the person who held the gun. In short, being a party official is the People's Republic's most sacred duty. It is a bit bureaucratic, but you will get used to these administrative necessities. And I am sure your wife will enjoy the latest Chinese tech, the Japanese shampoo, and the state-allocated big, bright, free apartment that you got. Perhaps the only downsides are the difficulty of getting in and the potential of being the scapegoat for the mighty leader. Definitely an S-tier job. What if? What if your dream is not to be the privileged one, but to actually serve the party and the leader? Or, what if you have an artist dream and are destined to become the Korean Kubrick? Sadly, you cannot be an independent filmmaker because nothing in the Kimdom is independent, and everyone depends on the leader for everything. But hey, you still can express yourself through cinema about your love for the socialist revolution and your admiration of the supreme leadership. You should consider being a state propaganda officer, maybe even spend your talent as a propaganda filmmaker. It's not a random YouTube creator job where you buy some action cams, make video essays, and call yourself a media company. Instead, you must join those prestigious revolutionary film studios, such as the Korean Art Film Studio and the April 25th Film Studio of the Korean People's Army. Take the example of Kim Kwang-hun, a North Korean director from the April 25th film studio. He graduated from Pyongyang University of Drama and Cinema, joined the studio in 1985 as an assistant director, and spent most of his career making military-themed films. His usual workday was not really artsy, not the Western stereotype of sitting in a cafe discussing childhood trauma with your producer. It was soldiers, scripts, uniforms, heroic sacrifice, selecting cast for heroes and enemies, and the sacred duty of making the Korean People's Army look like the righteous savior of humankind. Then came Comrade Kim Goes Flying, a romantic comedy so unusual that the script was rejected for years. Finally, Kim Kwang-hun co-directed it alongside British director Nicholas Bonner and Belgian director Anya Deilemans, making it one-of-a-kind international collaboration aired in Toronto and Busan international festivals. So, that's right, that is the real art. Join the propaganda studio, and there is indeed a chance for the Cannes Lions Awards. The jobs bonuses are not bad either. As a propaganda filmmaker, you have better food than ordinary workers, better access to Pyongyang culture, perhaps free tickets for all the April 25th House of Culture events, and a more comfortable social position than those you film about. You get access to imported equipment, studio gear, special screenings, and sometimes forbidden content like K-dramas, because the state understands that to defeat capitalist decadence, selected loyal professionals must study them very carefully to dissect the tropes and plots. You might never get ultra-rich, but this path is relatively easy and politically safe. Just pass the family background test, get yourself trained in painting or photography, and enroll in the country's art schools, like the Pyongyang University of Fine Arts. And then you can enjoy your artist life in the socialist paradise. Just be cautious if you're tasked to work directly around the supreme leader. This is not regular filmmaking anymore. Either as the cameraman or the editor, your sacred duty would be to capture the leader, giving guidance in the most handsome shape and form. It, in practice, is the most dangerous form of wedding photography on Earth. You must never capture the double chin from the wrong angle, the worker who looks less grateful, or the unfortunate second when the leader's face suggests he is so sick and tired of these BS inspections. It sometimes goes harder for editors, because once the party identifies an anti-party element, all his archival footage becomes evidence of crime, and you become a crime scene cleaner. For instance, after Uncle Jang Song-taek's purge, North Korea cropped him out of all state propaganda, essentially erasing the man from everyone's memory. So, probably when corruption cases are running in the newspaper headlines, you have to work endlessly overnight with unbeatable revolutionary zeal to trim the bad villains out of state propaganda films. If you get a chance to choose, be the director, not the editor. Alright, with all the perks and the extra freedom to watch K-dramas, let's have a solid A for propaganda filmmakers.
Perhaps the initial challenge was really getting the script accepted, that it would be allowed to be made. It's a very different script to a standard North Korean film. It's one purely about a girl going about her dream. She's an individual and rather cheeky character with this dream of hers to fly. And that was a difficult one to place, but eventually...
For average North Koreans who do not have a pair of revolutionary parents, your future is, unfortunately, not really promising. But if you focus on the bright side, you might find that the Korean People's Army is just around the corner, and it could be a way out. North Korea is, by most external measurements, the most militarized society in modern history. Up to 1 in 3 North Korean adults belongs to a military or paramilitary organization, thanks to the dear leader's military-first policy. Out of a 26 million population, The KPA has 1.3 million active troops and 600,000 reservists, and their hiring list is pretty diverse, ranging from cybersecurity specialists to rocket scientists. It's not a good way out. More like being pushed out of a burning building and landing on a construction site. But still, when you compare it with being sent to a remote collective farm, coal mine, or some eternal rural assignment where your family and descendants live forever in the agricultural limbo, army conscription starts to look like a career ladder. Officially, this is glorious. You are defending the fatherland, the party, and the mid-aged marshal. But in practice, richer families try every maneuver to avoid conscription when they can, especially in recent years when President Putin borrowed some young Korean fellas to defend Mother Russia. But for ordinary boys, the army can still look like the lesser evil. At least you won't be starved till death. Most of the conscripts work in the construction sector. Yes, you attend ideological study sessions and sometimes march for the propaganda film. However, more often, when Friendly Father announces another grand construction campaign, congratulations, your military career has become civil engineering. North Korea loves youth shock brigades, these great sacred formations of young people sent to build roads, apartments, flood recovery zones, and whatever else the state has promised as socialist gifts to the people. For instance, in August 2024, nearly 300,000 young volunteers joined the Paektusan Hero Youth Shock Brigade for flood reconstruction in Sinri-ju. Those young recruits received 600 grams of food per day, likely a bowl of rice mixed with corn, with salted radish as the side dish. If you think your ration is insufficient, then you can go ahead and grow your own vegetables as supplements. Defector testimony described widespread malnutrition among brigade members. One of the most extreme stories is about Oh Chong-song. On November 13, 2017, this young man, who had served in the army for 8 years, drove an off-road vehicle through checkpoints at Panmunjom, crashed near the military demarcation line, and sprinted into South Korea while his fellow North Korean soldiers fired at him. He was hit multiple times. During surgery, doctors found parasitic worms in his body, including one 27 centimeters long. So, yes, if nothing holds you back and you're lucky enough to be stationed around the border, it would be easier for you to defect as an army man. Your fellow comrades would symbolically shoot you as part of the order, but they might not kill you out of your past camaraderie. In short, although joining the army is never an ideal option, it does reward you in many subtle ways. Party membership? Maybe. College recommendation? That will be great. You might get promotions, and at least you can escape from those deadly rural assignments. But the downside is visible as well. Long service, insufficient food, hard labor, limited family life, constant discipline, and the possibility that the leader's foreign policy will suddenly require your body in another country. I will put it on the D tier. Terrible pay, terrible freedom, but there is a narrow path for a brighter future. After serving the system long enough, the system may allow you to become one of its smaller screws. Not every North Korean parent dreams of raising a son who becomes a soldier/construction worker, equipped with not guns, but party slogans and a shovel. What if your child is good at math? What if he can calculate trajectories and read engineering diagrams? Congratulations on figuring out that, in the Kimdom, good maths plus military equals rocket scientist. That's right. How about let your kid become a rocket scientist? It is one of the few jobs where technical competence can actually make you politically valuable. You know, everybody loves the leader, but the leader only loves big, high-flying bombs. Our respected supreme leader has a very visible affection for this kind of job. After successful missile launches, Kim Jong-un was often shown smiling, hugging, and even sharing celebratory cigarettes with workers on the site. Go sign yourself up for the North Korean Academy of National Defense Science, the country's most advanced weapons research institute. If you make a significant scientific breakthrough against the Western technological blockages and sanctions, Comrade Kim might invite you to fly on his private plane. In the Kimdom, this is basically the equivalent of being invited onto Air Force One. It explains why the job is so attractive. An average scientist from a poor country can publish papers, attend conferences, and spend the entire career begging for grant money. But if you're a rocket scientist, you get the leader's personal investment and a whole country on your back. If your missile flies, Kim smiles. If Kim smiles, your family moves into the best apartment. And your wife suddenly discovers that ballistic science is such a noble profession. Kim Jong-un has built entire showcase streets for scientists. Unha Scientist Street, Wisong Scientist Residential District, and Mirai Scientist Street are not just apartment projects, but concrete love letters to the missile program. The Unha and Wisong housing projects were dedicated to developers of the Unha space launch vehicles and Kwangmyongsong satellites. Mirai Street was opened in 2015 as a residential district for faculty and researchers of Kim Chek University of Technology, with scientists and teachers presented as the heroic new residents. According to the state propaganda, those flats were fully fitted with furniture and fixtures that teachers and researchers would need to bring only hand luggage, and that foreign people would hardly believe educators and scientists could live free of charge in such deluxe apartments. Not just the best housing, you'll get better food, exemption from military service, and the best state-provided free healthcare. However, there are some downsides as well. Yes, aerodynamics is hard, but what's more intensive is the political pressure. There's no NASA-style mission control room. Your life belongs to that sealed corridor of laboratories, military offices, restricted compounds, classified paperwork, and technical reviews. For the worst of it, your superiors typically demand absolute success before the next anniversary date. The anniversary of Kim Il-sung, the coming party congress, a military exercise from the south. Everyone expects good news from you, so the rocket scientist lives under a strange pressure. A delayed or unsuccessful launch might not lead to a budget review, but will disappoint the leader, creating an atmospheric disturbance in the national myth of socialist invincibility. So, to be a good rocket scientist, you are not only required to be good at maths and physics, but also to have political sensitivity and the trust of the leader. You will live under extra surveillance, which makes total sense. Your work is classified, and your family members are useful hostages. In sum, the bonuses are excellent, and the hidden cost is that your intelligence and talent become state property. Considering the political pressure, it's not exactly an S-tier job. Party officials still have broader power and better political insulation, but they do get better houses than propaganda officers. So, I think A+ is fair.
But one of these giants has been touted as a medical miracle. Ri Young-hun is a North Korean basketball player who until recently was the tallest human on Earth. At 7 feet 9 inches, the 29-year-old is defying medical science with his agility and speed on the court.
I'm a big man. I want to test my ability. I'm not interested in money or politics. I just want to play in the NBA.
But what if? What if you are bad at maths? I know, it is a tragedy. In Asian households, this is not merely an academic weakness, but a family emergency. But when the godly Kim closes a door, he might open you a window. You cannot solve a quadratic equation, but you might have the height of Yao Ming and run like Cristiano Ronaldo. So, young comrade, Becoming an elite athlete is another path for you. This is a dark surprise of the Kimdom's job market. International athletes are trained in special facilities, eat better than normal people, wear national uniforms, and enjoy the luxury of traveling abroad, which, for most North Koreans, is as realistic as owning a yacht made of French cheese. And the best of it, if you win, the state may suddenly remember that your family deserves some special comfort. North Korea has produced some good athletes. For instance, Hong Eun-jong won Olympic gold in the women's vault at Beijing 2008. At Paris 2024, North Korea returned to the Summer Olympics after missing the Tokyo one and won some medals again, including silver in mixed doubles table tennis and women's synchronized 10-meter platform diving. So yes, the brutal political system still manages to produce athletes who compete on the international stage and make richer countries ask awkward questions about their training budgets. If you win, the perks can be very real. After the London 2012 Olympics, North Korean medalists including Om Yoon-chol, An Kum-ae, and Kim Un-guk were rewarded with luxury homes along the Potong River in Pyongyang, plus private cars and refrigerators. There won't be any sponsorship deal, since the concept of advertisement doesn't exist in North Korea, but you can consider the Supreme Leader Kim as your generous patron. Even if you cannot win any contest, the lifestyle alone is great once you made yourselves to the national team. To compete, you need nutritious food to have a good physique and a healthy schedule for training and resting. National athletes reportedly sleep and eat at Changkwangsan Hotel under strict military-like regulations, but also receive the best of the best food, including beef and calorie-managed meals. In a country of patriotic malnutrition, beef becomes not food, but a political miracle. The athlete path is hard and painful, regardless of which country you've been born into. Your talented body will become a state project, and your performance represents the honor and dignity of the Republic. If you are good enough, your athlete title might lead you to some other promising career. Universities can grant you special admission. Otherwise, you can join sports organizations, be a coach, or accept state-connected jobs. To be the star coach, you might consider Chosun Physical Education University. Some sports organizations could also help athletes maintain Pyongyang residence after retirement. So yes, train harder for your country, and you deserve a better future than working in the coal mine or textile factory. To the extreme of it, Jong Song-ok, who won the women's marathon at the 1999 World Championships, later served as a delegate to the Supreme People's Assembly. You run for the leader, win for the leader, praise the leader, and eventually sit in a legislature and secure all the benefits for yourselves and your relatives. Win-win, isn't it? But if you lose, not exactly losing matches, but losing face for the leader, you should get ready for some bad consequences. Reuters once interviewed a North Korean judoka named Lee Chang-soo, who said he was sent to a coal mine after losing to a South Korean athlete at the Beijing Asian Games, and later sent to work in a boiler room after talking to a senior official. That's a downward career ladder. Lose to the fake Korean, and your new training facility will unfortunately have some coal dust. Your career will be pretty visible, though. Train until your childhood is completely gone, compete abroad, win medals, praise the leader, avoid unauthorized friendships, never look happy beside South Koreans. Considering the military-style discipline and the possibility that defeat comes with losing status and food supply, let's give it a B. But what if you're neither smart enough nor physically strong enough, but still want to escape the shithole? There is a route for ordinary North Koreans who dream of seeing the world. You can wear colourful chosunbok and be a North Korean restaurant waitress in China. This is the soft power version of overseas labour. You don't need to carry cement bags and do any hard labour, just smiling at Chinese tourists, serving cold noodles, pouring ginseng liquor, singing patriotic songs, and performing the North Korean national mystery between dinner courses. Your job is not exactly serving or dealing with customers, but earning foreign currency for the state, and being a propagandist to illustrate the Kimdom's glory. For decades, North Korea has operated state-linked restaurants abroad, often under names like Pyongyang, Okryugwan, and Ryugyong. Before sanctions fully tightened, North Korea had around 130 restaurants in 12 countries, including China, Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Vietnam, generating roughly $10 million a year for the regime. After rounds of UN sanctions and diplomatic incidents, in 2024, there were around 70 North Korean restaurants operating worldwide, mostly, about 60 of them, in China. So this is not exactly the North Korean version of McDonald's, but a government-owned franchise that comes with surveillance. So, if you choose this path, you will likely be sent to China, probably in some Korean-speaking border communities in Liaoning and Jilin, or major cities like Shenyang and Beijing. Inside North Korea, restaurant work in China is a dream. One defector, Lee Song-hee, who worked in a state-run restaurant in Dalian, said that North Korean women had a fantasy about becoming overseas waitresses. She said she beat the odds of 1 in 12 to get the job. Other overseas workers reported that, although they had to submit 80% of their salary to Pyongyang and never received some promised bonuses, the money they did receive, plus whatever from the side work, was still far better than what they could earn at home. In other words, the job is exploitative and occasionally humiliating, but still prestigious enough that people compete for it. The entrance bar is high. You need a loyal family background, acceptable political status, good looks, youth, discipline, some performance ability, and enough Mandarin to charm customers without any disrespect to the Kims. You also need the emotional skill to smile at misogynistic drunk men who treat the restaurant like a human zoo. Sometimes there will be customers trying to touch your body and pressure you to drink with them. So the official duty is cultural exchange, but the practical duty is smiling through harassment while the state monetizes your face. The daily routine is both theatrical and exhausting. In the morning, you prepare the dining room. During the day, you serve tables, clean, rehearse songs, and follow orders from managers. At night, you perform. You sing North Korean songs, dance in traditional dress, play instruments, and pretend the restaurant is a little embassy of happiness. The customer gets noodles and a performance. Pyongyang gets foreign currency. You get a controlled glimpse of the outside world, and probably a reminder from your superior that your family is still in the best Korea, and you know what comes to them if you run away. There is a resident security man whose entire job was monitoring you. All workers lived in shared housing, so no one could go out alone even on rest days. Your phone access is restricted, so you won't be able to call the South Korean embassy for help. The most famous case is the 2016 Ningbo restaurant defection, involving 12 waitresses and 1 male manager from the Ryugyong restaurant. South Korea said they defected voluntarily, but North Korea called it an abduction. Later, the manager Hyo Gang-il gave interviews claiming he had worked with South Korea's National Intelligence Service and that some of the women did not know they were going to South Korea until they reached Malaysia. The case remains politically messy, but its basic lesson is simple. If you prefer personal freedom over familial unity, working in an overseas restaurant is possibly the easiest and safest route to defect. So how should we rank this job? The prerequisites are high, and the duties are strangely diverse. Suppose you want a better paid job and see the outside world. It's not a bad choice at all. The hidden cost is that you become the smiling face of your own captivity. The customer sees a cheerful waitress in traditional dress, but the security man only sees a potential defector. So, my verdict. I will put overseas restaurant waitresses into the C tier. You can smell the beautiful freedom, but to reach it, the cost will be the life of your entire family.
In a tree-lined suburb of the British capital, an unlikely outpost of one of the world's most secretive regimes. Believe it or not, this is the embassy of North Korea, its flag at half-staff for the death of Kim Jong-il. But not everyone here is grieving. Kim Joo-il, on the left, is a former army captain who defected from North Korea in 2005. He's here now, he says, to celebrate the end of a tyrant and congratulate the diplomats inside.
Trader is another job to give you a sense of illusory freedom. Of course, it's not as glorious as winning medals for your father nation. And certainly, no one would cast a bronze statue for you, praising your tireless efforts of smuggling rice, medicine, and USB sticks full of K-dramas. The leader won't invite you on his private plane, nor would he assign that beautiful Taedong riverfront apartment to you. But on the ground, this may be one of the most powerful jobs in the country. Here, transborder traders are usually not men in suits flying business class to negotiate bulk orders. More often, she is an ajumma, a middle-aged market woman with a calculator, a rice sack, a fake smile, 2 police contacts, 1 Chinese phone, and a survival instinct sharper than the entire State Planning Commission. Since the collapse of the public distribution system, it was these women, not the glorious socialist factory managers, who kept households alive. Refugee surveys suggest roughly 80% of North Korea's market traders are women, while the 2008 DPRK census recorded that women made up 98% of more than 300,000 registered market salespersons. So yes, comrades, the glorious socialism had collapsed into black market capitalism. Since these markets are literally grassroots people's lifeline, the regime had to cope with their existence. They denounce private trade in the morning, collect rent from vendors in the afternoon, and arrest some in the evening when someone needs to be blamed. But overall, becoming a market trader is a solid job. After the 2016 sanctions, China accounted for about 95% of reported merchandise trade with North Korea. Some reports even have a higher number, saying up to 98.3% of North Korea's total trade volume was dealt with China. So as you can imagine, the border regions around the Yalu and Tumen rivers are busy trading hubs that keep life moving. Rice, coal, cooking oil, fertilizer, textiles, medicine, electronics, cosmetics, batteries, and sometimes Chinese EVs for party cadres. The party says there are no private businesses, but the actual border was controlled by the military, especially by the stationed units. Thus, you can either bribe the guard to smuggle yourselves, or ask the border guard to facilitate your transport. Your routine is like, you buy goods where they are cheap, and then move them where they are forbidden through secret smuggling channels. You pay the market fee, the stall manager, the guard, and the inspector, so you will be left unharassed. The goods you sell are calculated in Chinese yuan, US dollars, rice, or simply favors. Officials denounce you, and you pretend not to hear anything. If you become successful enough, you may graduate into the Donju class, the masters of money. These are the serious players in the underground market economy. You are no longer a smuggler, crossing the river while avoiding Chinese border patrol. Instead, you have the correct channel to finance transport. You know which official drinks, which officer gambles, which border guard has a sick mother, and which inspector suddenly becomes blind after receiving the correct envelope. Rather than vending in the market, you lend money to other businesses and sometimes prop up enterprises that officially have no private capital at all. From this perspective, the career ladder of a transborder trader is promising. You start from being a smuggler, grow to own a medium-sized store, and you are a merchant. Large enough, you become a master of money, the capitalist shadow living inside the worker's paradise. The real bonus of this career is not money, but information. The transborder trader hears things before the propaganda department hides them. You know exchange rates, food prices, border rumors, crackdown schedules, Chinese gossip, Russian shortages, and news from relatives who have already escaped. All of these make you powerful and make others depend on you. After all, who doesn't want some Chinese cosmetics plus a USB stick full of K-drama? Besides, when you can move loads of goods across the river, you surely also can move people across the river. That's the real power, my comrades. Overall, transborder traders deserve the B tier. This is a risky job. Arrest, confiscation, betrayal, currency wipeout, border lockdown, labor camp, family punishment, forced repatriation. The state officially denies your existence. But on the other hand, everybody, even the party officials, needs something. And you are the one who owns everything, from money, food, medicine, to foreign goods and information. Safety-wise, I am sure you can buy your way out. Previously, we bitterly presumed that you came from a less prestigious household. So, what if you have a revolutionary family background and a talent in linguistics? I am sure you're overqualified for normal office work or tedious administrative jobs. You should consider becoming a diplomat. This is one of the most privileged jobs in the Kimdom, which gives you a passport that actually works. The diplomat lives abroad, learns and uses foreign languages. There will be endless receptions where you can drink endless foreign wine. You smile at people whom your government calls enemies. Your kids attend normal schools. You drive a normal car. Your spouse enjoys normal boredom. And your family quietly learns that the rest of the world is not begging to be rescued by the Juche idea. As good as the diplomatic life sounds, the entrance bar is extraordinarily high. You need elite schooling, usually foreign language training with an extended period of studying abroad. All your relatives should have clean records and be registered as loyal partisans. The state must trust you, and your family are privileged and comfortable enough, and thus it's not worth risking it all by defecting to an imperialist country. Remember, a diplomat is sent out only because the regime believes he is too invested, too watched, and too privileged to run. But if you're selected, here is the real bonus. Diplomats can bring immediate family to the stationed embassy. Not everyone, and not in every case, but often the spouse and children may live with the diplomat abroad. This matters enormously. Ordinary defectors may escape alone while their family remains in North Korea as collateral, being sent to labor camps and dying in misery. Athletes travel abroad, but the trips are brief, usually only a few days. But a diplomat may already have his wife and children with him in London, Stockholm, Havana, or Beijing. It is a possible exit strategy. Tae Yong-ho is our best example. He was not an embassy clerk who accidentally wandered into London through family connection. He studied at the prestigious Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies, then continued his training at Peking University's School of Foreign Languages, which is exactly the kind of educational route you need if your future job is to explain famine, missiles, and hereditary monarchy in polished diplomatic foreign languages. By the late 1980s, he had entered North Korea's foreign service as what his memoir later described as an idealistic young red warrior, ready to serve the socialist fatherland. In other words, he began as the perfect product of the system, multilingual, loyal, and professionally trained to make absurdity sound reasonable. His wife, Oh Hae-son, came from an elite family connected to Oh Pek-ryong, an anti-Japanese guerrilla who fought alongside Kim Il-sung. Tae served in Europe for years, first in Denmark and Sweden, and later ended up as the deputy ambassador to the United Kingdom. His main responsibility was to counter criticism of North Korea's human rights record and battle the negative media coverage from the BBC. Occasionally, the government tasked him to track North Korean defectors or book hotels and concert tickets for the Kims. He played tennis and golf. With his family, they lived a comfortable life in a British suburb. But underneath the little luxuries, the system was tightening. By 2016, Tae and his family were due to return to Pyongyang. For North Korean diplomats, returning home means ideological inspection and suspicion. The party may have discovered that your capitalist lifestyle has become politically inconvenient. Tae was initially hesitant about what to do, but his wife repeatedly urged Tae to defect, eventually telling him she would rather risk separation from her own family than deny their children freedom. In later interviews, the mother recalled that a London teacher once told her their younger son had a bright future ahead of him, and that the comment brought her to tears. Back in Pyongyang, their son was bullied at school, and she did not want her children to live in North Korea if the family had a chance to leave. That is the diplomat's hidden family crisis. Tae can reject capitalist comfort by sticking to the Juche core. But his children, who grow up in Europe, compare different countries they've been living in. You can defend the Kim family in public, but at home, your child is learning the English curriculum, not myths about the Paektu mountain. After your family is accustomed to that normal life, the Pyongyang style suddenly becomes unattractive, if not repulsive. So, good for Tae, he defected with his wife and 2 sons in 2016. South Korea confirmed that the family was under protection, and Tae became the highest-ranking North Korean diplomat to defect in nearly 2 decades, since Ambassador Jang Sung-gil sought asylum in Cairo in 1997. Then, in 2020, Tae did something even more surreal. He entered South Korean politics and won a National Assembly seat in Seoul's wealthy Gangnam district. From Pyongyang style to Gangnam style, he beat a former 4-term ruling party lawmaker by nearly 20 percentage points. It's both a democratic miracle and the most confusing career transition on LinkedIn. So, a diplomat is a kind of eclectic job. When the party trusts you, you defend the regime, rebut human rights criticism, monitor defectors, write reports, and raise money for the nuclear program, while your family lives a very normal, bourgeois life. When the party distrusts you and issues a recall, use your connections and run away with your spouse and kids. Then, you'll find new opportunities in a new country. S tier, for certain. So, comrades, after this very scientific and objective career counselling session, you have some basic idea of the Kimdom's job market. What a beautiful labour market it is. At the top, There are the party officials, living in Pyongyang, producing no food, no electricity, no consumer goods, but enjoying imported shampoo and a state-allotted scenery apartment because their granddads made excellent political choices during a war. Truly, the dream. At the bottom, there are army conscripts doing the construction. There are black market traders, officially the lowest status capitalist cockroach of the socialist paradise, actually function as the most powerful people in the country. So what have we learned? In North Korea, a job is not only a job. It is your social status, related to your food supply, housing, marriage prospects, access to medicine, and the size of the cage assigned to your family. Some cages have elevators, some have diplomatic wine, some have rifles. The closer you are to power, the better you eat, but the more carefully you are watched. The further you are from power, the worse you live, but the more reality leaks in. That is the great irony of the Kimdom career ladder. The party official is comfortable but trapped. The rocket scientist is honored but owned. The diplomat is privileged enough to escape. Everyone else is given just enough hope to keep working, just enough fear to stay silent, and just enough rice to worship the Kims. So now, dear audience, it's your turn. If the Ministry of Career Assignment accidentally lost your Songbun file and gave you one clean chance to choose, what would you pick? Would you become a rocket scientist, trading your brain and conscience for a nice apartment and the warm fatherly approval of a man who really loves flying explosives? Maybe you should join the army, carry cement for the socialist construction, and hope the system eventually recognizes your contribution and welcomes you to the machine. What about the elite athlete track, representing your country and winning the Olympics? Or, if you have other aspirations, just comment below and let's plan for it together. After all, the Kimdom has no wrong answers, only wrong ancestors.